Hi, my name's Petros, and I'm the managing partner of Your AMZ. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the part of Amazon business that brands that we work with seem to struggle with the most, and that is in managing their FBA inventory. Just a little bit of a background about what your fulfillment options are when you sell on Amazon. I made a helpful diagram to sort of illustrate the process. So starting on the left here, you have where your product is manufactured. And once that product is manufactured, it is typically shipped to a warehouse that you own or to a 3PL, which is just a warehouse owned by a third party. At that stage, you typically have to choose between two main fulfillment options when you're selling on Amazon. The simplest option is fulfilled by merchant, and that is very simply shipping your product directly to the customer. The, the benefit of using fulfilled by merchant is that you don't have to manage fulfillment by Amazon, which can be complicated. The downside is that it is not typically Prime eligible. So your product will not show a Prime badge. It cannot participate in Prime discounting and Prime events, such as Prime Day. So, unless you have a really good reason, I highly recommend to use fulfillment by Amazon. Your customers love it. Amazon loves it. And to not use it when you should is really equivalent to swimming against the current, paddling upstream instead of, with the current. So looking closer at this fulfillment by Amazon process, typically what happens is you have one of two options, one of them being freight and one of them being package shipment. You ship your product into Amazon's distribution center, of which there are dozens. From that point, Amazon takes pieces of your inventory, one unit or more, and distributes it to its many fulfillment centers across the country. This is how Amazon is able to provide 2-day, 1-day, and sometimes same-day shipping to customers all across the United States. From those fulfillment centers, Amazon ships to the customer's house. An added benefit of Prime is that if there's any issues with the product and there is a return, that product is returned back to Amazon FBA. So you do not have to manage those returns back to your own warehouse or to your 3PL. So why does inventory management matter? Beyond the obvious reasons of like, if you don't have inventory, you can't sell. The Amazon algorithm really cares a lot about how much inventory you have. So if you have a product that has healthy inventory levels and you're going against a product that has, let's say low stock, less than 30 days of inventory on hand, your product with healthy inventory levels will get more visibility at lower costs than a brand with that low inventory situation. One way to think about this, if Amazon's choosing which product to show at the top of search, it's between you and your competitor. Or if you're running an ad and your bids are very close, but Amazon has to decide which product they should show first or second, Amazon will use inventory levels as an important factor when deciding the order of the products that it shows on their website. Amazon also, on top of this, may charge fees to you if your product inventory levels are considered low. That is not something you want to do. You do not want to give Amazon more money than you have to. And then obviously going out of stock means you can't sell anything. And this can kill any momentum you gain by investing in your marketing spend or your marketing promotions or any kind of investment you put to like gain momentum, gain organic rank. You can really kill all of that investment and really waste that money by going out of stock for any period of time. So you really have to change the way you think about FBA inventory. It's not about having inventory for sale or in stock. You really have to play the algorithm's game in order to be considered fully stocked. And that means, having 45 days on hand available. So not only do you have 30 days, which Amazon requires to be fully stocked, but you have room for growth as well. So now you're signaling to that algorithm, hey, I'm interested in growing. I have product available so that if we grow, customers will be able to buy it. And then Amazon will reward you with better placements, cheaper cost per clicks, and better visibility all around. So, what you want to think is 45 days plus in available status, 75 days in available plus inbound. So you always have to be ready and replenishing in advance. So what do most brands look like? They look like, where we have the word now here, this is what most brands look like. Either they have less than 30 days available plus inbound, or, they have 45 days available plus inbound, but the available number has dipped below 30 days. If you're trying to grow your brand, you really want to have available inventory above 45 days, and then your inbound inventory enough to replace, anything that sells in that period of time that it takes for that inbound inventory to ship, be received, and all of that stuff. So, how do you manage this? Like, how do you make sure that your products are always available, always fully stocked, never out of stock? The first thing that I recommend when trying to manage your FBA's inventory more effectively is to maintain a look ahead inventory needs forecast of at least 6 months. If you can do more than that, even better. But the point of the inventory needs forecast is to anticipate what you're going to need way before you need to order that inventory from the factory. You want to give yourself enough time to prepare the factory, to prepare your cash flow, whatever you need to do to manufacture that inventory and get it where it needs to be well in advance of when you need that product to be available in FBA. The situation you really want to avoid is, inventory is dwindling at FBA. You're waiting at the port for your new inventory to come, and it's clearing customs, and you're stressed out, and you think you're going to go to zero on FBA. You really want to avoid that as much as you possibly can. The second thing I recommend is to ship up products into FBA at a regular cadence. So think weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. The reason that this is important is you want shipping into FBA to be a regular part of your business operation. You want the people that show up to work that day, you want to have enough people, but you also want them to be, prepared with, knowing that that's what they're going to do that day. They have all their systems, processes in place, and that's ready to go. We too often see FBA shipments get deprioritized. So because it's like kind of like a surprise to the warehouse that day, it gets deprioritized for retail stores or distributors or direct to consumer product orders. You really want FBA to be a priority, to be a regular part of your business. And then lastly, if your product is growing, if the market is growing, your market share is growing, if you're investing in advertising, especially, you definitely want to err on the side of too much stock than too little stock. If you have too much stock, let's say 30 days too much, you will pay, slightly more in storage costs, but you'll be rewarded with more visibility. The algorithm will appreciate it, and you'll avoid the huge cost of being low stock or, God forbid, out of stock. So just keep in mind, if your product is not in stock nearly 100% of the time on Amazon, your brand will struggle to grow. And there is really no way around that. So if you don't have your FBA inventory, really clicking on all cylinders, it's going to be really hard for your advertising to work, for your promotions to work, for your deals to work, for your influencer marketing to work. So this is really a really basic but extremely important foundational part of your Amazon business that you want to make sure that you get correct.